Aditi, Milan, we are live.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, I'm
Aditi,
able to.
go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
All right, so good morning, everyone. And I hope as I start, all of you and your family members are safe at this time. Um, so I got this opportunity to be invited by Millen for this very quick brief on how to do a good curriculum vitae or resume. I work with IBM as a global diversity program manager as part of human resources, and I thought I could come here and speak something about from what I have learned during my whole experience of becoming an HR professional, and from when I started. Right, so while my expertise is in human resources, but this is also a part of every professional's key is to know how to present and brand themselves well through when they write a resume. And that's what stands in the industry when you reach out to for a new job, or when you look at your progress over a period of time, a resume is what speaks for you. So with that, let me go to the next slide that talks about the agenda and what we are planning to discuss today. So, and also let me put it in a slideshow mode, which will make it a little more better. We will take questions towards the end, but feel free to stop me if you have something that you may want to ask at the end of every slide. So I will pause for like few seconds if you want to ask any questions. So what we will be covering in this session today is the purpose of a CV, why you really need a curriculum vitae, why do you need a resume for yourself, what is that needs to go as a content, and as your skill, your experience that really makes a CV or a resume compelling. So we will talk a little bit about the good, the must-haves, and what how should you structure your CV, and some of the best practices from the industry, while also understanding at the same time that it may vary depending upon which industry are you coming from, or which industry are you targeting for a job. And then we'll end with talking about the goods and the better if there are any tips or traps, right? What are the must do's and what you shouldn't be doing. And overall, it is just going to leave you with something where you'll be able to look at your CV and say, okay, if I were to make it better, let me start from here and do these things, right? So this is what I will be covering, and feel free to stop me, yeah, for any questions towards the end. So with that, let me go to the next slide. All right, so just wanted to give you a little, to start with, I just want to let you know, when anyone is looking at your CV, they really have just 6 seconds to make an impression. And this is being proved by a research which was done recently. In fact, earlier there was a research, and there are many research that talks about your attention span, right? So the eye tracking study reveals that a recruiter is someone who would be evaluating you for a job, would take just like those initial minutes to make the decision if you fit for a job or you are a no fit, right? So those I'm trying to emphasize on 6 seconds again, because your CV needs to be that succinct and that clear that it is able to make an impression in just those 6 seconds. So this is the reality of the world, and what we are trying to deal with. So let's go to the next slide, to really understand what it may then comprise of, to give that kind of a wow factor in 6 seconds. So let's understand a CV a little better. So I kind of put my own CV as an example here, but again, it may not be necessary that the industry that you are working for, or the next job that you're sorting for, has to be as per the same format. So there are various kind of formats, and those are all available in when you go and do, like in click of a button, you will have various forms available online that you can go and look for which better suits you. But just wanted to show you one as an example, so you can make the best for yourself, right? So what does the CV really do? So your CV showcases you to a specific person or a group. And when I say that, I mean to refer to, say, your future company. It could be your current manager, right? And it also could be a group of people that you are wanting to showcase your work to. So it does convey some facts about you. It conveys the type and the level of expertise you have, the skills that you've grown over a period of time. Um, and because this whole hiring is so competitive outside, there are 100 people fighting for the same job or even more, right? So we know that the industry standards for some roles are really high, and when you have the right skills, that is what is shown in the CV, right? And those gets picked up by the skills that reflect in your CV. So the first impression about you is being made by the curriculum vitae. um, Now with this, let's just move to structure and to understand what a CV may look like. So this is as I said, there are a few benefits when you put the CV in the right way. And we covered about the future, which is when you're looking for a future job, or it also talks about what you have done over a period of time. And in your current scenario, when you're looking at your own industry level, if you want to move roles within the company, it also talks about your current achievements. So net net, this is already being covered. So these are the additional benefits just to put together. um, it definitely makes you more marketable. So it helps you position in a way, if you were to think about you as a person, and you've done so much over a period of time, but when it comes to kind of articulating it, you will still need to write it down, right? And this is where a resume would come into picture, where you can structure it in a way that talks about you in from one end to the other end. So again, these are just some benefits, and I'll move to the next slide to also talk about how it can be structured. um, okay, so this is like a basic structure being put together. A curriculum vitae needs to start with your contact information. It is a must, because that's how a recruiter may reach out to you, or say a portal, or say a naukri.com or any other websites that we go for job hunting, right? They will recognize you by your contact information. They will also get to know which location are you. So say it's Assam, it's Guwahati, you need to have that very clearly mentioned. So when they reach out to you, they know the specific domain that you stay in, and they can reach out to you accordingly. Your phone number is important. So again, these are all personally identified information. You can have your Gmail email ID as well. Yeah, so this comes in the contact information center section. Now when we go to the profile, it's a basic mix of two main component, I would say. Your career goals, what is the objective, where you want to reach, what are you exactly looking for. And it depends upon, again, which industry are you, where you are currently seeking a job, and it will depend on also on what you've done in the past, right, to showcase that in a bit of a sentence. Then comes the really main part, which is your specific skill, which is exceeding others. So you will have built certain skills. It could be Microsoft Excel, it could be in IT SQL, and I'm sure if you come from different background, you will be knowing more about your skills than I do. So I do have a knowledge from my own IT background, that we have a lot in the IT skills that people put out there in the CV. But if you're coming from a manufacturing or a retail, you will have a different set of soft and skills or technical skills to present there. So again, that's very important. Then comes the education section, which is going to clearly call out, uh, where did you do your uh, graduation, 10th, 12th. It's a must that you put that. Again, a percentage of, what percentage you achieve is not required, but it is required that you put where did you take your education from, right? That just kind of validates what level of academic excellence you have achieved in your career. So that's an important section again. And then it comes to experience and skills, which relates to your previous job. So the jobs that you have taken in the past. So let me go back to when I was showing you my CV. And it depends upon the kind of work experience you have built. So you can mention it in order, where it starts from your most current job and it goes to the most, it's in a descending order. So you start with the most current job, and then you kind of keep adding to the previous years, right? You can also mention about your internships, which is a big portion, that is a part of your work. So you can mention where you started as an intern. You can also mention about some volunteering activities that you would have done, which comes in the next section. But I would suggest that if you think that uplifts your CV, so if you're targeting, say, a non-profit organization, I think it will really uplift your CV to mention it in the main section. And yeah, once you're done with the experience and skills, then comes the next section, which is major. It's mainly optional. You may want to decide if you have certain certifications, awards that you may want to put there. Language, of course. So say if you're targeting an industry in Assam that requires you to be familiar with the local native language, you may want to mention all the languages that you know, right? And similarly, as I said, some personal projects which you may have accomplished can also go in the options section. So net, this is like a structure which I wanted to put here to give you an idea as to what a CV may look like. If there are questions, I think I'll take a pause. Milind, should we go ahead or
Yes,
should we
ma'am.
take question? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
We were having, as I say, being the first time, we are having a little bit difficulty because Neha started the meeting and I think she had got some phone call, and I had requested her to put me co-host, so I'm not a co-host, and we are not. Some people are in the waiting room, and I'm not able to
Okay.
catch hold of Sneha. So that's some problem I'm facing. But you should continue.
Right. No, I thought I'll pause if there are questions. I heard someone asking.
Priyanshu, do you have any question?
No, sir. No, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay, all right. So let me go to the next, which will give you, a little more detail view as to how you should structure, what is the content that you should put in the CV if you're really struggling with where to start. This slide, I wanted to put to tell you, when you are looking at your accomplishments, just rate it from these four parameters. It's called STAR technique. We've used it. Recruiters used it during interviews. Sometimes we use it for a self reflection. So when you've done some work, you need to think it from these four angles. It's called situation, task, action, and result. So for example, say you were responsible for, a business where you were looking into 300 employee base. You were responsible for the transaction from one end to the another end. So what is that whole situation? You have to define how your day look like, and then think from that angle as to what you may want to put as an accomplishment. So did you achieve, say, some turnover in a day? Were you able to meet some engagement goals? So all that needs to go in that. And what is the task that you were really doing? Were you managing? Were you kind of administrating? You were kind of just analyzing some results. So all that comes under task. Again, what was your task at such a time? And then action, right? What did it bring out to table? So did the, say for example, in HR for me, I manage a base of, say, 300 employees and two leaders. I make sure that my engagement to the end of the year, so my engagement survey score speaks for itself, right? So that's my actionable result or goal, right? So those are some of the things that you will be able to find in the work that you're currently doing or you've done over the period of time, and that you should be able to put it as a situation, task, action, result, and it will come like an accomplishment, what you've achieved when you think around these four buckets, right? And then I have put some words that may help you to rightly define your experience. So for a really compelling CV, you need to choose the right words as well. So for example, if you're working for a communication, right? So say you were designing a marketing campaign, so you can use some of these words to say, I demonstrated, so and so things in so and so days, and this outcome was this. Or you presented to a staff of, say, so many people. You facilitated an event that comprised of, say, 100 people. So some of these words can be your starting point as you look at these. Similarly, for I would pick, say, for technical skills. So for someone, I was also an electrical engineer earlier, and I started my career as an Infosys systems engineer. And at that time, it was important for me to look at everything from a technical skill standpoint, right? So I used to analyze. I've arranged a couple of things. I used to compile a couple of reports. So all these then make sense because my CV would start from these words. Um, and again, I'm talking of using these in the specific section when you look at experience and skills, right, where you're defining what you've experienced over the period of time in each of the roles. Now in my current portfolio, I would look at something like in management. So I coached ex managers for this position, this initiative. I conducted so many trainings. So these will be the kind of sentences that I'll be using. I hope this kind of helps you understand how to really start from scratch when you're going to write your CV. Um, yeah, I'll also pause for any questions. Otherwise, we'll move quickly to the next, and then we'll take it towards the end. Okay.
Aditi, some people had joined little later, so could you again little bit recap, quickly because
All
they
right.
were waiting in the waiting room before.
Yeah. How many do we have, Milin, overall in this
Uh,
call?
right now we have 10 of them.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I can give like a quick brief. So what this session is about, as you all know, and I've got this opportunity from Milan to come and speak to you all, and it's really a pleasure. And at the same time, I just hope everyone is safe at their respective places and your families are safe as well. Yeah. So in initiate this intent, the intent of this presentation is to help you uh, really get clarity in terms of what a resume or a CV looks like. Why do you really need a CV resume, right? And also, how can you make, as a next step, how can you make it good and compelling for the market demands? And the market demand is very dynamic. You have same person, like one skill role open, but there are so many people going for it, right? So what really sets you different in a market or scenario like current scenario is your a good CV and a good representation of yourself through that CV. So you are kind of branding yourself through this whole resume. And that's what I was trying to portray. Then we little bit covered about this research that says that you only have 6 seconds to make an impression with your CV, which I really mean to focus on, to say that make it very succinct, and it has to be very very short to be, and very clear, right? So when somebody is looking at it, they are able to get that. So that's the reason why we are focusing so much on what content should go in, how it should be structured, because all that matters. And this is the reason also why you have so many different formats for different industries. So if you are currently looking at your say you are you are in an IT setup, or you are going for a say manufacturing retail jobs, this CV would hold true. Like the structure is going to remain same, but some people who are in the product side, in the marketing side, in the creative side, they make it a little on a different template, which is a little more creative, and I've seen those are slightly on the other side. All those top templates are available in the market on your click of a button. You can go and look for it. But what we are defining here as a structure, and I just wanted to quickly come here where we spoke about what the CV structure and a flow should look like. This will remain same for most of the CVs that you'll come across. Only the template may vary a little bit. Few may have like your picture and all of that, but the format will remain same. So let me again quickly cover this. The sections that I mentioned is the one that you should primarily focus on having. So your contact information goes first, which comprises of your phone number, your email ID, and your place as well, right? So where you are. So you are in Guwahati, in Assam, you're in UP, Bihar. So it needs to just cover that whole city and place, because that's how the recruiter would map you to the respective job in that location. So if you're using a Naukri.com portal or any Indeed, or there are various portals, right, where you can go and upload these. Um, and then comes the profile section, which is again important. to include what your career goals are. You can skip this only if you think your education and your experience is like really vast and it will cover like one full space. Then I would say, okay, you can skip this because this is just going to be covered even as you talk, right? When you talk to the recruiter as a next step. So career goals, keep it like very simple, one line as to what are you really looking for from your past and current experience. And then comes the education section. As I said, you need to mention which colleges you did. So 10, 12, graduation, post graduation, all of this. A percentage is not really required. Like you don't have to really mention what was your percentage academy. And some of them I don't think even look at it. But it's important to mention what you achieved, right, through your academic excellence through the period of time. And your experience and skills comes next, which is the most important section, which I was diversing next in my next slide, to say what exactly and how should you really explain what you've done over a period of time. And this is also a section that will differentiate you from the rest. So when I say there are 100 people fighting for the same job, what you would have done, what you currently put as a skill, will definitely make you at, put you at a higher pedestal than what others might be looked at, right? So this section is very, very important, the experience and skill section. And then there is an optional section where you can put some, certifications and awards. If you have known languages in multiple regions, like, knowing, being in the Northeast, if you're aware of the local native languages, Hindi, English, whatnot, you should always put here, because some jobs, like in especially those in the retail manufacturing sector, they look for these skills, right? If you know the local language or not, sometimes the interactions are easier. So so for example, for me in IT section, I would just put Hindi, English, and frankly those two are the languages I know. So I would just keep, I probably may not keep it as well, because it's given, right? We know that people will know English and Hindi. So these things become important only if you're looking for a very retail manufacturing kind of a job. Yeah, and you can put some volunteer activities as well, which you may have done for, say, for a non-profit. And if you are in a non-profit field, then this whole activities and your job itself will comprise of the experience and skills. So yeah. Yeah, I think this we covered as well. So moving quickly to the next. I hope, Milind, we are on track, right? I can move to the next.
Yeah, yeah, and you have enough time. Don't worry. We have at least 1.5 hours.
Okay,
So
okay,
you have
good.
enough time.
All right. So yeah, I'm kind of not, Milind, going into detail, because I just wanted to give like an idea and dipstick as to what it looks like, and everybody can then go back and work on their own CV. So I think I just have like few more slides to show very quickly, and then I would like to keep this more interactive. So if they have any personal question and they want to know, okay, what can I do in this field, like I can probably take those, yeah, based on as much I'm able to answer, or based on my own expertise, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so going to the next. All right, so these are some quick tips, I would say, because when I was talking to Millen, and I also realized that some of you had concerns around how long the CV can be, right? And sometimes we put in a lot of effort to kind of write down everything that we have done, and then it ends up being a very lengthy CV. And I've seen those CV. I've seen the CV in people who are in, say, in legal law. They have like one extensive resume, um, but if you are like just kind of working on branding it really well, I would say don't exceed anything more than 2 pages. Keep it very, very succinct. My CV, with six years of experience in HR and 1 year of emphasis, is just 1 page, and that's how I want to show it. So I've, over the period of time, I've kind of been cutting out stuff from which is not important. As I was growing in my role and career, I kind of focused on the experience that I was building, and that's what I decided to show, right? So it is important for you to think as to what is going to make sense for you to show. If you're being doing a lot in your field, prioritize to show only the one that you think is going to be important for this role. Keep it in 1 page. Most of the templates available today are of 1 page. you can decide to, as I said, to keep it two if you really think it's going to be important, right? um uh, and yeah, the one main point to remember is, of course, if you just keep it lengthy, no one is really going to need it, and we know the attention span of the recruiter is only that much to kind of quickly go through it and pick you for the right skills. So that's the whole intent of why we want to keep it simple. And it is possible. You will not be struggling with it. You will just have to look at, from your whole list of, say, whatever you want to keep, what are the main things that you can put in that one slide. Yeah, and then keep it clear and consistent, which will come with this basic formatting tips, making it very, very easy on the eyes. So the font size, the heading should be consistent. So now, as I said, everything is just available. Your templates are available at the click of a Google button. You may want to just pick what format they are using. But if you want to really use a format, it's also mentioned here, which is 14 to 16 point for a section and 11 to 12 point for a normal text. These two you can really try, and use a Times Normal if you are just struggling with which font. You can use Times Normal as one to use with. Yeah. And last but not the least, save it in a PDF form. As a Word document might change the formatting every time, so you don't, when you do a CV in Word, you can easily save it as PDF will not allow anyone to kind of touch the content, right? And it can be circulated as a PDF to whoever you are sending. Never send it as a Word document. It's not a good practice, because anybody can change the content, right? Let me take a minute of a pause here if there are any questions, and because many of you joined late as well.
Yes, Aditi, I had one, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you please tell me your name?
Yeah, Shubhankar here.
Yes, Shubhankar, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you one thing that when we have a definite amount of experience with you, it becomes very easy to showcase that in a CV. But when a person is a fresher, specifically, which is most of the time that happens, uh, what are the best practices that are used in the normal, day-to-day life? And specifically from for us who are in the academic background or in the scientific research background, it becomes we don't have that much of experience, but we have certifications and we have workshops which are very more important. So I would like to know more about that, if you may.
Yeah, Shubhankar, great question. I think it's fine and good to know you are from the research background. Frankly, we all start somewhere, right? I also started as an systems engineer. I had a CV even then. So you are absolutely on the right track if you just want to showcase your certifications, your college education, again, the language skills, whatever you have developed in your curriculum, academic curriculum, is also going to work very well for you. The CV which I've put here is mostly for someone who has experience, say, five or 6 years. But the one that I showed right here is a very basic one, and it really doesn't have to be uh, full of words. It can be as simple as just having your uh, profile career goals, right? I think career goal will be very important for you as you start, because a recruiter may want to know what you're looking at from an employment. And again, if you want to just look at some of these early CVs, right, you can go to platforms like LinkedIn. Even in career jobs, there is one portal where you will find a lot of early professional CVs, and how they have structured it. So you can take help from there. But I would say just be very, very truthful to yourself, to define what meets what you may want to put from your own experience, right? And it has to be very clear. Don't put some jazz around it just because you don't have experience. I think your education, your career goal, your current certification and awards itself will speak for it. And also, if you want to add something from your so I remember doing this when I was in my uh, early, as an early professional, when I was just kind of looking for opportunities. I would also put some awards from my school curriculum, like if I've been at an or if you've been orator or debater, you can always put those. All that works, and any kind of volunteer activities as well. If you have worked with say, an organization at a non-profit level, you can put all of that.
Okay,
Does
that's
that
great.
help?
Yes, it does. Actually, I have one more, if I may.
Yeah, sure,
And
go ahead.
so, in a CV, when could you go to the previous slide that you showed?
Yeah.
Yes. So here you showed that certificates are to be put in the optional section, right?
It's so again, I have moved certain things out because my work experience went bigger,
Yes.
but it is not an optional section as such. You can always have it like as a full at the bottom, right? So
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you this: when for example, in a CV which you might have in your previous years, where would you put a certificate of PGDCA in that? Because PGDCA is like so 1 year is a substantial amount of work that you have put in. So would you put it in the education section, or would you prefer that it's in a certification in a later section?
if it's a full-fledged course, like a 1 year course,
Yes.
you can easily put it in the experience section, because that's going to be your in fact your education section, right, where you can mention about this. But if say it's a 2-3 month course, or it's a certificate of, I would say it's a distant learning kind of a thing, then you can put it in the certificate. Again, I put it as an optional, doesn't mean that these are not important. This become important, as you rightly said, Shubhakar, at your stage where you are just as an early professional, you don't have much experience to mention. These become very, very important for you to still have. So yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay, but great question, and thank you for asking.
Hi Aditi, this is Shivalal here. I basically work in the LGBTQ area. I had a question saying that I have an experience of 6 years of working on the field of LGBTQ issues, but my one of the limitation is that I'm not academically well off. I'm still on the process of completing my graduation, and I have been told that I should put my education qualification at the bottom of my CV, because some of the possible work employers, they might just look at my educational qualification, and they might just not look at my work profile. So that was a suggestion given to me, after which I just put my my education just above the reference part. And this is something I did. And also one thing is that since I most of my work has been through activism, one suggestion was also given to me that a lot of employers are not very comfortable with with the use of the word protest activism in the profile. But then again, these are the work which are very central to my work. So is there any other kind of a language which we can show use in the CV, and at the same time not dilute our work, and at the same time also not let the employers discouraged from hiring us?
Yeah, very good question. Again, I think I missed your name.
My name is Shivalal Gautam.
Shivalal. Okay, good
Shivalal
question
Gautam.
again.
Yes.
Yeah, Shivalal, I work very, very closely with the LGBT community, as you would have, as I gave you my introduction, I work with the diversity and inclusion team in IBM. And they do some great work, right? So people who are in the business resource group, part of the LGBT communities, I would never put that work somewhere outside. It's so hot in the market right now. It is always in demand for companies that focus on LGBT and diversity and inclusion. So, in my personal view, I think I would put that work, that you're doing on the very forefront, and then comes your education, or probably if you are like, if you can see the structure here also says education first and experience, you can do that, but it's again your personal choice, and depends on what audience. And if you think the recruiter, you, as you said, in your field is not looking for the experience criteria as much as the education that you carry, you can always play around with keeping either of these two up or down. Probably Milind, or if Ankita is on the call, they can comment more about this field. and what the recruitment demands when it comes to using such words. But I I haven't personally come across a CV where I would see words being used on activism, etc., which would be taken otherwise. Again, the industry varies, right, from one end to the other end. So maybe I have seen more of a soft industry, which is IT industry, is little more polished compared to when you work in an NGO sector where things are happening on the ground. You have a lot more happening there. So maybe if Milind can comment about that and using if that makes complete sense. But for me, if I were at your place, I would put all the work that I've done at the very first place, and then comes my education, and then rest of the things. Does that answer a little bit?
Yes, like that answers a bit. I think I just have to like more like play around with the word
Words.
part.
Yeah. So for that, I had this particular slide I brought, taking reference from one slide that I was seeing, is to use more of these words. So um, I think somewhere when working with people, you may be able to resonate, right? In some of these nonprofit or LGBT campaigns that you do, maybe you can choose little bit from this section, which is when you're working with people. It applies to me as well in my current human resources job. And I think more than using and choosing the right words, which is important, I think it's personally for you to define what are some of the key things that you want to put, and just be bold in putting that. I don't see a problem. And I'm sure there will be an industry ready to pick as you show those skills.
Aditi, I can add to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Shivlal, I would more than happy to work with you. Okay, and you are so what do you call? People who live in Assam already know how capable you are, and I think this is a time where we should not be looking for a job rather than create job. And I'm sure that you can create many more jobs. But we love to work with you. And also people who are in social sector. Ankita, who is Aditi's sister, has volunteered that she would love to work with you and look through a resume, specifically in the social sector. So whoever need help, and if you're working in social sector, let me know, and I'll connect you with Ankita. And though some of you already know directly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Milind, for coming in. And I think that is what will really help, because, as I said, some of these tips may apply, but more important is what you're doing in your current field, and if somebody can help you bring that up. Okay, I I just have this one last slide before we get to more questions. Um, to just summarize, probably more as a tips and a trap. Tips would be show what you have accomplished. As we saw some wonderful questions and some concerns. But end of the day, we should not believe. We should always believe what we have done, and that's what we should show in the CV. Use actionable words. So whatever. So if you've managed so many people, you should use management. If you have just kind of facilitated, use facilitation. So just be very, very clear and honest on that. Avoid overuse of I don't think anywhere in my CV I have word I, or if you'll also reference some of the CVs will never mention an I. We keep it very generic, right? Analyzed, um, reports, so and so. We don't kind of keep it I or we. You can always mention number of, say you worked as a team of 4 or 5 or whatever, but it should not have a connotation of just what you did. um, ensure your resume is properly formatted and looks good. I think we covered all of this. Using consistent tense is also important. So throughout, if you're using a present or past, just let's continue to do that through the CV. You can just refer to one, you'll get to know about how to do with the rest of the sentences. Being honest, keeping it concise. I think we just covered it. It's just a recap. Share only job related hobbies, interests, and clubs. Yeah, like if it is like totally out of the way, like if you like traveling, that's fine, but how does it going to help you in the CV? It's not going to, right? So you need to choose just the one that you think is really important. And as we said, we need to keep it in just one page, right? So that's important to just not overload it with some interest in clubs that may not be relevant to the current experience. And if you, as I had this one question on the, as you're starting as an early professional, I think I used to have a lot of these still mentioned, because that would show how much of volunteering I have done, what are my interest area. But as my CV went a little bigger with the work experience, I've taken these things off. So just like a little tip, if that helps as well. One another quick thing I wanted to cover is using a commentary, a cover letter. So most of the time, if you see some of the roles that come on LinkedIn or Naukri.com, wherever, they also ask you for a cover letter, right? So always be prepared with like just 4 5 lines that defines what you have done. So say I'm Aditi Gupta with 6 years of experience in HR, worked with IBM in so and so field, have done these roles. So this just kind of defines in very short summary. So if somebody doesn't have the time to go through your whole resume, they can just go through your intro letter. It has to be short, again, a half page probably. Yeah, so these are the tips and the traps just to avoid some of these things. Is avoid a typo, a spelling error. I think all of this gets checked as you're working on a Word document. Too much of information and detail is also not required. Keep it simple. And yeah, so anything that is, any information that you are scanning through, just give it a quick look as to nothing is kind of not matching with what you're looking at, right? So it has to be very coherent. And sometimes I've seen people having different CV for different, as they're approaching different job, because they only want to keep it like that simple, right? So if you're approaching a marketing, you would have it in a certain way. If it's a sales job, you'll have it in a certain way, because some people have that dynamic experience. But just as an example, nothing to really kind of focus on. I think it depends on who has multi-dimensional experience and want to do more than one CV. Yep. So with that, I think I covered most of the points that I wanted to today. I hope you find this useful, and I'll love to hear your feedback as well as to how can we do better and go to the next level.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a question. Yeah,
Yes, please.
yeah, I'm Priyanshu Kashyap.
Yes. Hi,
Ma'am,
Priyanshu.
yeah, ma'am, I wanted to know, like, if we do some like some kind of self study, if we learn like digital marketing and all by ourselves. So is that like, can we, if we don't have the certificate, can we add that in the CV? And if it's of some use, will it help?
So sorry, I didn't. So I'm trying to understand that question, Priyanshu. Are you saying you were pursuing a certification?
No, ma'am, it's not a
Yeah.
kind of certification. Like I'm doing as kind of self study
Okay.
in digital marketing. But for that, is it like to get a job? Do I need a certificate, or
Okay. So if you are mentioning it as a certificate, yes, you need to have like a format, right? So for example, if
yeah,
you are doing it in collaboration with there are various like outside vendors who help you get a certification.
yeah,
If you're mentioning something like that, yes, you need to back it up with a certificate. Many times they will know, but it's very important to have your certificate ready, because if any times you are asked, you can show that. But
yeah,
say for example, what you mentioned, I think you're saying you are working on some project, you're doing some research. You can
yeah,
always put it, right? You can
yeah,
mention what you're working on, but put it as a project. Don't put it as a certificate. Certificate is something that comes once you've finished a course, or you've finished a learning, or you've finished like a skill upskilling. But a project can be what you've done in a field, you've done
no,
in a
it's not
team.
a project. Like I'm kind of interested in digital marketing, so I started this
Okay,
course. Yeah, going online. But for that,
I
I'm
see.
not gonna get any certificate. So is it helpful?
I see. Okay. So if it is a full-fledged course, again, there will be something, right, that you will get
Yeah, yeah,
once you complete it.
yeah,
If you get that, it's fine. You can put it, because you'll have like something to show as a submission.
yeah.
Many times you may not be asked, but it's good to be true to yourself and know that, okay, you've finished this, then you may want to show. So you can go ahead and do that. I don't see a
Okay.
problem.
And if we don't have a certificate, will it help? Like,
Um,
I am kind like if I write something like that. I did. I know. I am familiar with digital marketing, something like that. But I don't have I have not done any professional course for that.
You can definitely mention it in your skills. So yeah, so just when you mention it, obviously you need to be sure that you know it to an extent that you can explain and justify yourself in the interview. So when you put something like a digital marketing as a skill,
Yeah.
you don't need a certificate for it. You should be able to explain, okay, what do you know about digital marketing? Those are the kind of questions that may come. I hope that helps. So one is certificate part. If you're mentioning anything under certificate that you've attained this thing, you need to have a certificate.
Yeah.
There is no other way. Authentication is very important. But
Yeah.
if you have a skill by just reading, or you've gone through a few courses online, uh, you don't have like a certificate, but you know about it. Like
Yeah.
I have worked on Microsoft Excel so much that I know I have that skill. MS
Yeah.
Excel is my skill. So you can definitely mention, yeah, you can
Mm.
mention it in your skills and soft and yeah, technical
Mm.
skills.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question again. Thank you, Priyanshu.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear. Who is?
Ma'am, actually, I am quite active with students organizations, right from the last 2 to 3 years. So it will be helpful to mention it in the experience section in my CV.
Sorry, come again. And your good name. Sorry, I'm just trying to see who is talking.
My name is Piyush Agarwal.
Piyush. Okay.
Uh,
Can you come
Actually,
again?
I am quite familiar and working as a student activist from last 2 to 3 years. So it will be helpful for me to mention this in my experience section in my CV.
It will be. Yes. It's. Is it a? Can you tell us more about it? What exactly is the experience like?
Just like I'm working from AVVP from the last 2 to 3 years, and I've been doing social works from their name. Just like in this epidemic, I am working like providing food and shelter to the needy. I'm feeding the stray dogs and etc.
Yeah. All of that can be mentioned in your experience. So you can always mention it as a civic engagement. If it is something like what you mentioned right now as a volunteer activity, or as a full-fledged activity for on a non-profit basis, there is basically no earning, right? So but you're doing it with an association. You can always mention it as a civic engagement. I do have it in my CV as well. So I call it a civic engagement, and I've put it as like this section. But this can go is in your, it can go in your experience as well.
Okay, ma'am.
This primarily comes under voluntary activity, if you ask me, fairly, because the work experience has to be more tangible in terms of if you're associated with an organization and they were paying you as well, right? And if you know that there is some kind of work and you're getting your salary paid, so that comes more in a tangible experience kind of a setup. But your volunteering activity should also go, like what you mentioned right now, can go easily under the bucket of civic engagement.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hello, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Hi,
Ma'am,
Darshi.
yes, ma'am, is it better to share those accomplishments which you have done in your school life, but you couldn't continue in your later life? So, will it make a good impact or a bad impact, means in the eye of an HR?
Okay, so I'm not going to view it as from the eye of an HR. I've not been in recruitment, but I'm going to give you like my own personal advice and from what I've experienced and and expertise of what I've built over the period of time. And trust me, there is nothing like what may be good or bad. It's just about what is that whole work that you are wanting to put there. So what is your Darshan, what are you aspiring for, like what you want to be? So you went
Ma'am, currently I'm pursuing chartered accountancy
okay, okay.
and
So as a chartered
basically finance.
accountant, all right, so if you were to make your resume, who are you trying to approach?
The big fours are the finance, the
Right.
openings, where finance related openings are there. So, not
Right.
basically like big fours. Like big fours are not everyone's cup of tea. So मतलब
No, that's
I
absolutely fine.
yeah.
It's absolutely okay to say. I think you're aiming for the highest, and which is very good. If you're putting your chartered accountant CV, uh, if you've done something which is being as in your school, and you want to show it, I think you should, because it reflects your personality. So I don't know what exactly is you're going to put there, but say if you have been as
Ma'am, I won many debate competitions in my school life.
I think it will be important to put there, because when I started, I used to have all of that. Somewhere I just felt that it's important that you show, what really interests you, and those are the forums, which is also a public speaking forum, right? And that
Yes.
shows your public speaking, communication skill, and communication skill is also a big skill. So I will put that in this section, where you kind of put your optional things, right? At the
Oh,
bottom, you can always put as I'm just trying to recall what we used to call it. I think we used to say it as extracurricular activities. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, you can always put it as extracurricular activity.
And ma'am, but the achievements are not of like national level or matlab, state level. It's basically a competition which was organized by a committee. So will it make a so matlab, is it
Yeah,
better to
that's
put
fine.
that? Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine. Just mention the year and yeah, did you come first, second, whatever the position, and yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. It is, as I said, those things get also picked when you are a very early professional, and say you are preparing for CA but you don't have like a work experience, if I'm not wrong. So if you do have work experience, that anyways goes on the top, and these things come at the bottom. And then when you start building more on your work experience, these things of school and all will automatically disappear from your CV, because you may want to just showcase what you're doing currently. But at this point, as you start, it's perfectly fine to have all of that go in your extracurricular.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there was another question, but this was different from the topic which you are discussing. Can I ask that?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. this
So,
this is now your forum. Now you all have to ask me question. I don't have anything further to share.
okay.
And let's keep it more engaging. I'm happy to answer these.
So, ma'am, basically, like my seniors and my seniors told me that LinkedIn is a very important platform that you can that gives you a way to contact HR and can help you in references. So, I basically have no idea how to approach them, and currently believing the scene that there are so many people who would be messaging an HR. So, how to stand apart and how to approach them, like.
Yeah, so I think that was one more thing, and good you brought it up, Darshan. I just wanted to cover it as well, but I thought it will be like too much to cover in like just one session.
Oh,
LinkedIn is like, of course, it's the new thing, and it's the new way recruiters are going to and picking people from, right? And it is going to stay. So having a good LinkedIn profile, like as good as having a good CV, right? So while you have your CV as a starting point, uh, I think having a good LinkedIn profile is also going to help you, and that's going to be a separate whole new session if you want. If you want to ask me how to do that,
oh,
but just to give a piece of advice, I would say look at just putting your profile up there as well. And LinkedIn as it is very structured, so you can just kind of put your work experience, just put the phrases from the resume itself, and just yeah, maintain your page. You don't have to really be very active, but if people are looking for skills, they will look at your resume, sorry, LinkedIn profile as well, and pick sometimes, and they will give you a cold call. So you don't have to make much effort. The only effort that is required is to have a LinkedIn profile, just like you have your CV. Just think of the LinkedIn profile as a CV as well, which will help you build contacts. And then there are job openings. I'm sure you must be aware of. You can always go there and click on those openings. Some of them um, ask you to submit your CV, cover letter. So we covered all of it. So then the path to from LinkedIn will be similar to when you go through a portal. Does that
oh.
help answer, or are you looking for
Ma'am,
something?
ma'am, can I just ask you something regarding this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ma'am, suppose if someone is working in an organization where I want to be a part of, so matlab I came to know through LinkedIn that that person is also working in that organization. So to approach him, like should I I can message him like, okay, sir, I wanted to be a part of your organization. I've completed this things, or rather I do a research about that person and then like come to my thing, or is it better to apply on the whenever the vacancies are there? So
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I think, gives you that kind of flexibility, right? To reach out to people. You're
yeah,
not, you are not kind of barging in, because you will just kind of drop a message, keep it very, very, like very professional, to say this is what you are looking for and this is why you would like to contact or connect, to understand if
oh,
there are opportunities. It's absolutely okay to do that. And if somebody is interested in looking at your profile, and picking you for the job, they will. So I don't see a harm in doing that. It's always good to go through reference, Darshan. So for example, if you know a friend who works for, say, Ernst and Young, and you want to contact for a job, you may always want to go through that reference, and then that always helps. Then, rather than just going on to LinkedIn and putting a message to a recruiter, sometimes they don't even see, right? It's highly luck based. But the least you can do at your side is to have a similar LinkedIn profile, what you have as a CV, to
yes,
like kind of a very good LinkedIn profile which speaks about your work. And trust me, it really works well. uh, Once you will see the difference once you update your LinkedIn profile, and the way you will get calls, because
okay,
there is a whole I think they've built a whole system behind this that is able to pick people just based on their skills, right? What they're mentioning. So you will be getting responses.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Apart from that, actually, I was reading a question in Quora that there was one guy who wrote some Sanskrit quotes in his CV, and then he was counter question on that key. Do you know which person wrote this? So is it advantageous to do things, because I'm not matlab, to do such tricks in your CV if you are not having the complete knowledge over that?
Not at all. I think it's as bad as saying that you know something when you don't, right? It's like, it's not authenticated when, unless you really know that subject. So as I said, somebody was asking if I've done digital marketing, can I put it? If you're confident about it, you know the subject well, you can put it as your skill. Like
Okay,
today, I'm a little bit confident about my Microsoft Excel skill. I would definitely have it there. I'm confident about my communication skill. I'll put it there. So it is your call as to what you know and what you're confident about, that you really know. So if you have questions
okay,
being asked in the interview, you should, so always look at it at that way. Be
okay,
confident and then put it. Don't just put it because you want to make your resume look good.
okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And just a quick tip on LinkedIn, because, and Darshan, glad you brought it up. Not I'm sure not everyone on the call might be, or if I'm good, I'm glad if everybody's aware. But LinkedIn is also the new way of looking at your, and branding what you're doing, apart from the resume, right? So do have this little, go to spend some time looking at some profiles and see how you can just simply create your profile. It's going to take you like 5-10 minutes and not more. And if you really want to spend some time, it will take you an hour or two. But just to simply start with the LinkedIn itself is going to really help you connect with people and look at some jobs that are opening up. So, and it doesn't cost anything, right? You can have a LinkedIn profile for free. You don't have to go for premium or anything of that sort.
Okay, ma'am. There was one more question. I am sorry for taking so much time.
No, I think Millen, I'll check with Millen if we have
Yeah,
more.
Darshan, could you give somebody else some chance after
sure, sir.
they ask? Then you can
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
get
Sorry, sir.
back to you.
Yes.
You know. So let's give other people chance. Those people who haven't asked. Otherwise, I have some questions for you, Aditi.
Okay.
So Ankita gave me a big lecture saying that you don't know the difference between CV and resume. I said that nope, I don't. So what is the difference between CV and resume?
Okay, so this is a question which feels like going on top of my head because I don't think there is one. So curriculum vitae is one of the documents that you need to submit to your employer.
I cannot hear you. Aditi, are you there? Priyanshu, can you hear her?
No, sir. No, he's stuck, I guess.
Okay, let's see if she is able to. Aditi, we can't hear you.
Think we got to try something.
You know, I have over 500 connection in my LinkedIn, and I still get job offer where I retired 2 years ago. I still get. So I think it's really helpful, you know. Hello.
Hello.
I think Aditi needs to join back again.
So
I will
Snehal is
reach out.
online or else it could be a problem to join.
Okay. So it's I find LinkedIn to be very helpful, and I always look before I apply. Before I used to apply for a company, I look who are there in that company, and if I have first link and second link connection, then I have an informal interview with them. So I always used to use LinkedIn. Let me. She is in Bangalore. I think she was um, joining back. I think. Yeah, she's joining back. So I would also ask her to give some, if she could give some good resume, as she sent about avoiding I statement, and
Yeah, it
that's
would be
very
better if
important.
she shared that PowerPoint.
Yeah, and
It would help.
also, yeah, and also I always used to use a sentence with the verb manage. People train, manage. I start the sentence with that they know that I have training experience, I have managed, I have whatever. uh, Many people have left, but she's going to join in. And Darsan, I think since I know people, no others are there, I'm sure that you can ask her a question. Let's see what she's saying. She says she's joining. uh, oh, her connection got off. She said give me a minute. I wish there was more people, because I see many people struggle with resumes over here. Anybody has any other questions, so that we can also hear your questions?
I believe Vivo 1812 has a question. If he's around, could you please ask that?
That's
I don't know
Shivla.
the name.
Shivla.
Okay.
No, I don't have any question.
All right. Please be there. She is joining back. I'm glad that not only Guwahati has problem with internet, even Bangalore get problem in internet. She's trying to join. Not sure what is
That
happening.
seems to be the norm, Milan.
Yeah, and those people who specifically for Shivla, since you are working with LGBTQ, I would like to talk with you and see if I'm trying to get some of the international organization to start something in Assam, in India, and for me, I'm only focused in Assam or Northeast. So if maybe I could reach out, to see Twin Cities Pride. This is the Pride group in Minneapolis where I volunteer, and they know me for a long time. So she has been telling me that I should participate in International Pride, and and I cannot do all that. So I can vouch for you and see if we could, let's see, how we could, I need to find out what is your main passion, and if it's more related to LGBT, what part of LGBT, so that we can create the job. We have to create the job. We should not be looking for a job, I mean, people who are capable, people who are doing stuff, you know. I'm not saying that that applies to all, but people who are activists, who are doing things, you know, we should be able to create a job, not only job for ourselves, you know, also for others, you know. So I
Hmm.
would definitely like to sit, and I had done that with Priyanshu. I have talked to him, almost grill his brain for almost 3 days, asking him, you know, what keeps him awake and what he is really, you know, passionate about. If he died tomorrow of, you know, COVID, what he will regret of not doing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
To focusing like, okay, this is what you really want. I mean, that is what he. It has to come from him, not from me. But I just
Hmm.
ask all this question so that he can keep on thinking. You know. Let
Hmm.
me see. Aditi is calling. Just one second. Hi, Hi, Aditi. She's still trying to join in. So, yes, Shiv, did you say something? Shiv, your hands is up.
No, no, like
Okay,
no, I'm not saying anything. I'm just like listening to you.
okay, okay. Yeah, you know, you know, and I really, you know, you're doing excellent job in LGBTQ, and you know, in other countries, most of the people, as long as you are, you know, 12 plus, you know, nobody really cares about how much studies you are doing. You know, I think I really, you know, I really struggle with that. In specifically in India, people think that they have to complete bachelor, they have to have masters, and you know, many people have so much of craze about PhD. And to be honest, you know, most thing is that you need is still basic 12 studies, and then, you know, you might be reading all kind of books. I have a friend, like, you know, Bill Gates is a school dropout, right? You know, I have a friend, co-worker. She was, you know, she just finished till 11th grade or something like that. She was an excellent business analyst, excellent business analyst. And I like that in the Western countries because they do not give so much importance in education. You know, there's a difference between so-called education and literate, right? You know, in India only there's so much thing, and you know, as you know, you can see the condition in Guwahati and all that stuff. You know, we have so many doctors and engineers and all the educated people, but we go on throwing our trash right there, you know, in front of your house. So, you know, I think, you know, you have done, you accomplished, and you have to focus on that. Education is not always so that important, in my opinion, to be honest. Anyway, I was sending some video, you know, where I stay, for example, here, there's lots of mosquito. And there's this product I saw that you added, it's some organism that you put it with water and you hang it, and all these mosquitoes goes over there and they, you know, lay eggs over there and it get killed. So the whole area, mosquito could be removed organically. And I don't know, I wish that there's somebody who said, that, yes, I want to create that. You know, it's a bioenzyme. It should not be that difficult, you know. And I think that there will be huge market for it. And I was just thinking that what all ways we can use our, solve our problem and also at the same time create jobs, you know.
Yeah, we need jobs right now.
Yeah, we have to create jobs.
Yeah.
That's why I'll have Tenjing next time. You know, he's dynamic young guy from Boroland doing excellent job. You know, didn't have enough money, but small he started. How he started, he was very innovative. Created those fan to dry his tea leaves, and small one at a time. Then he's growing. Now he's a beautiful farm where he has all kind of fruit, and people come from all over world, from different parts of the world in Borderland. Then I was also seeing this person called what's his name? Rahul Singh. No, Robin Singh. He started something called People in Dharamsala. He was a school dropout, didn't finish studies. Then he somehow got into hacking. So he started hacking. Then he got a job in the US. Then he moved to US. Then he started, I think he is one of the initial people who started, digital money, or like the whole Google Pay and stuff like that, like how to buy online. And he make lots of money. By 31, he was like, he didn't have to work, he had enough money. Then he did not know the purpose of life. I think he had came back, went to Oroville. Then he saw how an old lady was feeding all these dogs over there. So that inspired him. Anyway, so then he started taking care of dogs, and now he has people where he take care of injured stray animals. Okay, let me see what she says again. Hi, Aditi. Hello. You're not able to join? Okay. Sure. Okay. I will take feedback, and yeah, sure. And if you could send me your email, is it okay if I share your email with the participant? Sure. Okay. Yeah, you can. I'm sure that it will help Lincoln Paper, and it will be really helpful if you could send couple of resume. You can, remove the name, but who's you think that is good resume, sample resume. Okay, sure. You can WhatsApp, and I will share that over here. Okay, thank you so much, Aditi. Yes. Okay, bye-bye. So sorry, Aditi is not able to join in. She is having all this technical difficulties. So she is going to send her LinkedIn profile. I think it will be very good idea that whoever is available to get into LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is very good. And you can ask her question, whatever you have, and she will send few good sample resume. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Anybody have any question for me? Or I would really like to know, because we will continue going on, and if there's certain thing that you want to learn, say for example, somebody wanted to be a baker or open a restaurant or whatever, if certain area you want somebody to speak on, please let us know, because we will try to find somebody in that area to speak then.
Milan, if I may, can I say
Sure.
something?
Sure.
Milan, as you aptly pointed out, that most people after this pandemic would start locally and would like to start their own businesses, right?
Yeah.
So what the major problem comes, which I have noticed, is the problem of capital. So
Okay.
if you have any finance guy or a person from bank who can aptly point out how we gather the capital, how we get funds, how we get loans,
Okay. Sure.
and how the financial sector works, and how the liquidity can come in, so that we can proceed with in any which way, whether we want to open our own business, or we want to open our NGO, or we want to work for different sectors. That would really help, I guess.
Sure, I will do that. Thank you for that feedback, Swankar. And yeah, any topic that I will just try to go and try to find. It could be anybody, locally, or in India level or whatever. We would try to get somebody on that.
Yes, Mr.
Do you know about this Bamboo Forum? Anybody who is interested in Bamboo thing, there's a Bamboo Forum. I found it very helpful. If anybody is interested in that, And the other day, and in fact, there is a forum. The first person who had talked to us, Asinta Borgohain, I think. He is actually there's a Assam state level board, I think, entrepreneur board or whatever, and he is IEEE board member, and then I think Numaligarh refinery provides some grant. So he was, when he was there, he was mentioning about two grants. One is 5 lakhs grant, and one is 50 lakhs grant, and he is in the board for both of them. So anyway, I will going to reach out to him. He may able to give suggestion. He is also from Assam. Right now he's in Bangalore. He opened this company called Bin Bag, doing e-waste management in Bangalore, and now he started in Guwahati, and he is planning to start in Mumbai. So he is a very good success story, and he was the first one who actually talked to us. And I will try to get him once more again back so that he can give more stuff. But please keep on sending your ideas, and overall our goal, and my goal personally, to make sure how we can support the youth, how we can support the youth so that they can become entrepreneur locally, so that they can be happy to be in Assam, and that's my limited capacity. Whatever I could do, I will be doing that, and at least try to bring people. Anything else? Thank you so much for joining. Please keep up joining. And again, next week we will have Tenzing. He's a very dynamic person, organic farmer. We'll learn from him how he went through his journey. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Priyanshu, for helping.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Bye-bye. And okay, so start. I'm trying to see where do I do. How do you do Facebook connection? Oh, it's already live in Facebook. It says meeting is live on Facebook. Sorry. Okay. Should I invite you? I cannot invite you because I'm using. Okay. So yeah, it says live on Facebook. I don't want to be live on Facebook. What should I do? Oh. But it already said a live on Facebook. Why is it live on Facebook from the very beginning? It automatically said live on. So how do I go and end? It's a leave. There's no end meeting option. How come? Okay, I left it alone. Leaving meeting. Exit full screen, left me.